Ever heard of the term black tax? Are you someone who is wondering how to manage your relationships? And by relationships here, I mean family dynamics. That's the conversation that you want to delve into today. Welcome once again to another exciting and insightful episode of Talk, Share and Inspire. My name is Erica Okeo. I'll be your host, and I'm joined by guests here, and they will help us delve into those themes or those conversations. Hello, guys.
Hello.
How are you?
Fine, thank you.
I'm happy to have you guys once again on set.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah, ladies first. Dear lady, please introduce yourself.
My name is Beryl Orlando, and I'm happy to be here.
Yes. Karibu sana, Beryl.
Thank you.
Yes.
My name is Jim Omolo, and I'm happy to be here too.
And I'm Osare Odwur. I'm glad to be here.
Oh, you are welcome. We really value your insights, and you will tell us what is black tax. You will tell us if you've had challenges, managing family dynamics. And I don't know if we should start by defining black tax. Jojo, do you want to
Or
tell us
defining a family. What is a family?
what's a family?
Yes.
Okay.
Family dynamics.
Okay, guest host.
Yes.
Yeah, family, then family dynamics.
Yes. I cannot define English, and Jim is here. He is more well-read than I am.
That responsibility shifted unexpectedly.
But Jim, take it away.
Family and family dynamics.
Family are people who share blood relations, I would say. May live together or may live far apart, but still belong to the same lineage.
Share blood relations. And so what are family dynamics?
I think dynamics are, how they relate amongst
Okay.
themselves, the conversations that go on, the conflict, everything just about their culture, really.
All right. So these are people who share the same blood. By the fact that you share blood with someone, you can't do away with them.
Yeah.
Then there's the dynamics of how are your relationships.
Yeah.
I think in other words, I would say family dynamics as patterns probably of interactions within a family. Yeah, and those dynamics are brought about by many things, as Jim has said, maybe communication, culture,
Yes.
belief
systems.
maybe hierarchies and authority and roles.
All right.
So,
those are some of the things that influence the dynamics.
Yeah, sure.
Your culture, your roles, then what else? Your hierarchy.
Belief systems, are you Christians, are you things like that.
All right, because it's possible for people of the same family not to maybe share religious beliefs, not to share values.
Principles.
Yes. Jojo, do you have something to add to that? Or
Yeah,
a
I just want
different thought?
to. I just want to ask for the purpose of this conversation. So, if Jim, Chedi, yourself, and I choose to be in the family without blood relations, is that a family?
I believe so.
Or are we?
You can
Are
be-
we? Are we?
okay,
Are we?
I've
For the
heard.
purpose of this conversation, are we only going to speak about family dynamics with respect to blood, or even with respect to water?
I think beyond even blood, there are also issues around adoption.
Yes.
Someone could be adopted into the family, whether through the legal channels or not, or it's the fact that you've grown together.
Yes. Or people grew up in children homes.
Yeah,
Those are
and
people
you
who
have built good friendships over time and a good understanding till you come to that point where you see each other as family.
As family.
Farm.
Okay.
Farm.
But I think primarily, certainly, family originates from, the blood relation.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, what are some of the challenges that people encounter or young people encounter when managing family dynamics? I think you mentioned some of them, and probably maybe there's something we left out. Value systems, hierarchy. Is there any other thing?
Ambitions. Like one of the quotes that says, family come from the same roots but grow in different directions, like in terms of branches.
And then also expectations.
Okay.
Yeah. In the sense that probably I'm not sure whether I should combine it with conflict, but there are expectations probably that if you are dad is a doctor, you should also be a doctor.
Oh, yes.
And if you don't meet those expectations, then there are probably family conflicts or there are disappointments. Yeah, so those are also other things that play into family.
Or even comparing
ambitions,
siblings.
Yeah, sure.
Comparing siblings. I mean, firstborn, shout out to our firstborn. You are expected to be the light
engineer.
bearer. Yes. Well, my dad had to contend with this one.
Well, you actually, the light bearer has not yet been born.
Yes. So, I mean, comparison between siblings, comparison between families and families, that family has 7 engineers, 6 doctors, and your family has content
Teachers.
creators and influencers.
Nothing wrong with content creators.
Yes, just to
nothing wrong
say
with teachers.
just to say, you see how the society views an influencer versus if I stood up and said my name is Dr. Beryl Lalando versus if I stood up and said my name is podcaster Beryl Lalando. You see how
yes.
the room suddenly shifts on how they respect me. Yes. Even if I am more knowledgeable in the subject as a podcaster more than as a doctor, they would actually gear towards Dr. Jim as opposed to influencer Jim.
All right, how about money? Is money an aspect of family dynamics? Is that one of the challenges of navigating family dynamics?
Yes.
Certainly, I think.
Yes, and as you said, you could give us a personal example.
With money comes power or influence. Because
Mm-hmm.
money can move things, can make those who didn't respect you actually respect you.
Yes.
You know, and money can also make you be welcomed or not.
Oh yeah,
You know?
that is so. Someone said there is a difference between. I once saw a quote somewhere. A meme, by the way, that's not a quote. It was a meme. But there's a difference between have a seat or find a place to sit.
Very big difference.
And that one has everything to do with how much money you have.
Yeah.
So that person was saying, whatever you're doing against poverty, take it serious.
Yeah,
And
because-
we've also had stories in families where even like when people go to the village, for instance, the amount of money you have depends with how you're treated.
Yeah, your voice,
Yeah.
your
Yes,
voice in a
yes.
family meeting. Say if you're
Listen,
burying a patriarch, even if you're the first son, we would not necessarily listen to you if you're not bringing what is needed to bury this patriarch. So your money is your voice, unfortunately.
And sometimes if you're abroad, people will wait for you to come.
Imagine that. Yes.
Whatever event, whether
Yes.
it was a funeral
Yes, or a wedding.
you have to come first.
Yeah.
For you to
More
come
like
and tell
to-
us.
To flag them off, but now you can continue.
You can go ahead. Yes, Judy.
Yeah, they also say that you put your mouth where your money is.
Always.
So if your money is not in the project, then you cannot make a decision, even if you are probably the firstborn
wisest.
or the wisest, or even you find that I think probably parents, they would some of them, at least not mine, they would lean towards the one who has more financial
Finances.
muscle and listen to them, allow them to lead, when probably they may be the youngest and the least wise of all.
Yes.
And also just to go further to that, now that we're just telling parents, to the extent that they are even afraid to tell whenever she does something wrong, that you are in the wrong.
As the one who has money.
Yes, as the one who
that's a
has
good
money.
example.
Like if you are high purity and the rest, like the parent feels the need of not correcting. And even recently we were talking about this, the fact that nowadays you are not even asked how you make money.
Oh yes.
As long as you're bringing money home. I remember growing up, you'd be asked, where are you getting this money from? We will not spend money we do not know its origin from. So the society or the secular culture has gotten to a point where if you have money, you're given respect. We don't ask you where you got your money from, because how is a 21-year-old able to afford certain luxuries? Yes.
And then now, guys, I want us to be a little bit, we have a lot of good points, things we have experienced. I'd want like a personal story of managing, like a challenge you faced when managing family dynamics. Who wants to go first? See the way you are thinking deep, and I'm sure you have them here. Jim.
I knew you'd pick on me. I think growing up, my dad wanted me to be, or hoped, let me not say wanted, hoped that I will be an engineer. You know? And of course,
Engineer Omondi.
growing up,
I'd see how you'd be engineer. I stand with him.
growing up, you realize that even the engineering subjects are not your favorite. Or
Physics, chemistry.
you don't just feel the vibe around engineering.
And you might be excelling in those topics.
You might excel,
Yes.
you know, but
might actually be
you just don't feel like it's something you'd do effortlessly.
Yeah.
By there's nothing like effortlessly. It's just for the sake of this conversation.
Practice.
So I remember that, you know, when I chose the business line, a lot of persuasion had to, you know, happen.
Yeah.
You know, to try and help him understand that this can
You are the
also
one
still...
who's trying to help him understand.
No, I actually sought for intervention.
Oh,
you know,
wow.
and just someone who I thought
Are you the first
is
one?
in the same line, who is respected by my dad.
Okay.
You see that? You had to.
So there was that
Yeah.
part. Are you the firstborn?
No, I'm not the first one.
Okay.
You see an engineer?
Yes, he is.
Oh,
That's
yes.
That's his
So yeah,
background.
probably those things that you're
Yeah.
saying that in this family, the goal is we should have 7 engineers.
Yes.
And you see, you could not look for anyone. You could look for someone who is respected by
In
your
the
dad.
business world, though. So that the dad takes him as seriously as he takes engineers.
Yeah, like, you know, he needed an authority.
Yes, yes, in your field.
And for Jim, that one already comes out as the importance of effective communication
Yes.
in managing family dynamics. Yeah, I don't know about you.
I think one of the dynamics we have in families is love we share. And before I talk about mine, I want to talk about Jim's. you know, I was greatly involved in his wedding planning, and I was amazed at how much his brother loves him.
Oh, wow.
I'm speaking Swahili. you know, it's true. An outsider is able to look from without and see these guys really care about each other and they really love one another. And I also have brothers, and I know they love me.
Looking from outside, ladies and gentlemen, looking from outside, I see how the brothers
But
live.
you know, probably they are more flex, so they probably they are more expressive of their emotions. But I realized recently how close knit and how loving our family is after my brother started bringing girls home. And now girls would, growing up I thought that my parents were tough and they loved us, but we were brought up in a very tough environment. But whenever an outsider would come to our place,
They would have
they
new
would say
clothes.
like, wow, your parents love you.
Yeah, that's what we see all the
You
time.
have a very nice family. So it's also possible that from within you might not really appreciate how much love you share in that space.
Yeah.
But now when looking from without, you can be able to see the way I can see how much Jim's brother loves him.
Yeah.
I've not seen the other side. I'm not sure if he loves the brother as much.
He'll be involved in his wedding.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and then so you see, family dynamics come with conflict. It goes without saying. You see, there is this part where you're asked to be an engineer, and you are very wise about it. The way you dealt about it was very, very wise, you know. Someone else would have gone the other route. I just go, we forget about each other, and let me just do my thing. So let's talk about how can you, like, how do you resolve conflict in family dynamics apart from effective communication?
I think you need to be respectful.
Always, always.
Even if you disagree, the other person needs to feel there is just a disagreement on a particular issue.
Yeah.
Okay, yes,
It's
yes.
not now a rebellion.
It's a difference of opinion.
Yeah,
We're
just
not
a
fighting,
difference
we're not
or
fighting each other.
Or, you know, trying to show that you're stronger than someone else or you're more knowledgeable. People still want to feel respected because ultimately, and I think the point that he was also making, you know, for all of us, family is where you fall back on.
Yeah, always.
If everything goes
Jim,
out,
say that again.
it's your family that comes to your rescue. It's you they know. you
Yes.
know. And you've probably heard in the news of this gentleman in Saudi Arabia who unfortunately got involved in a fight at his workplace, and the person he was fighting, being a Saudi Arabian, died
Yes.
in the process.
Yeah.
And because of the laws in that country, now he has to either raise a huge amount of money
Or to be exonerated.
to give this family as there's a way they call it,
Fidya.
or be
Killed,
killed.
exonerated, to be killed, yes.
So it's the family that is really now trying to raise
The
an
funds.
ambitious amount of money,
50 million.
hundreds of millions, just to rescue their own. And I say that to just communicate that family is where we fall back
Yes.
when everyone else has run away.
Awesome. And then I'm also thinking about boundaries, okay? There's respect this side and then boundaries. So how do we, like in a family setup, how do you respectfully communicate your boundaries? Case in point, you see, we are Africans, and I've had stories of people coming to say they were coming for 2 days to see the city, and then they end up staying for 6 months or even 2 years, or even like.
Don't do that, guys.
Yes, and people do that, but then like, how do you communicate your boundaries with your families?
Okay, I would want to start from talking about my relationship with my brothers and how we solve conflicts and disagreements amongst us. One is that we all of us know what to expect. I cannot remember ever changing words with any of my brothers, except for when we were in primary school.
When you were younger.
Do you communicate your expectations?
Or your heart.
Okay. How we relate, we have not communicated those expectations, but we have hung around each other for so long that I clearly know, without being told, what to expect from Jim and what. Yeah, sure. So when I go home and I find my brother has done something, I don't really get disappointed, because I know that's his weakness, and this is where my strength is. So it's one of the ways we manage conflicts within family, because we manage the expectations.
You manage the expectations, and then something else that is coming out so clearly is get to know them. Spend time with your family members, get to know their habits and how they do their things, and then it makes the journey easier.
Like probably if I lived with your sister today, she might do something that I'd find very outrageous and absurd. But you have been so accustomed to it that you no longer see it as in fact, what happens is you carry the weakness in such a way that when they do it, you shield it. So that's one. Two, I think communicating boundaries is a very interesting phenomenon. You first need to understand who you are. It goes back to who you are, guys. Who are you as a person? And then who is Jim as my bro? Like, you would know when Jim is mad. The problem is most times in a family, you do not communicate that you are mad. Especially when when you are younger, it's easy to like let go of things. But when you are older, and especially in marriages, when now there's a wife and husband involved, and now you want to tell your brother, I know as we're used to shouting, but do not shout at my wife. They grew up in a home where shouting was not something that existed. Or I know we grew up with shouting, but as a family, in my family, we have decided my children will not experience shouting. So it ends with me. So it's I think goes back to respect. Like, just respectfully share your boundaries and not in an accusatory tone. Check your tone, how you are accusing. What are you saying exactly? Are you giving your people? And also, what is the purpose of this communicating this boundary? Is it that we grow into a better relationship, or is it to show you that I'm the bigger person and you are the lesser person?
Okay.
So check your
also,
motive, check your way of resolving.
And also, I think it works when probably in our behavior we are consistent with what we do. So that not that today I know that this is your weakness. tomorrow, of course you can work on your weaknesses
have
to be
weakness
better. You have weakness 2 and 3 and 4 weaknesses I've never seen before. So that is bound to bring conflict.
Yes.
So you have to be consistent in your
Behavior,
pattern of
patterns.
behavior.
Awesome. I love that.
And when you set a boundary, please stick to it. Don't say, do not shout at my wife, and then you are shouting at your wife.
Yes.
I'm confused. Of course, I must also shout.
Mine wakes at
Yeah.
10.
Yes. So
Guys, let's talk about black tax.
Okay.
The elephant in the room. Yeah, I've had people say that they no longer allow their family members to see their status updates, or whatever is happening, because they're like, if they see me dressed in a certain way or in a certain place, they know that I have
Agent
money.
2K.
Yes, and your family is always calling you, somebody's always calling you, they need money urgently. Have you guys experienced black tax? Or you've only heard about it? You are hearing it today for the first time. What is black tax?
I think, especially in the African context, we live for each other. You know? Your joy is in seeing your family members happy as well, because there is no point of you having so much and your
And
siblings
suffering.
are struggling or suffering. It's also not just Christian.
So, Jim, you're saying it's a good thing to help your family.
It's a good
members.
thing to help your families. I think it's the issue only comes when the expectations are not aligned. Because there are people who can equally exploit you because they know that whenever they call, they will always have. And I think it just calls for judgment, and just being wise and finding alternative ways of making people also empower themselves so that they don't have to rely on you to fend.
Jim, give us examples.
So
How
for
do I
instance-
make good judgment? How do I empower people to help themselves?
I had this conversation with a friend of mine who was telling me about theirs is a big family, so many siblings, because of polygamy, and he was telling me that there is this one gentleman who they know, even the way he asks for money, he is not respectful at all.
Okay.
And they know that when he gets the money, he will use it for alcohol or anything that does not really profit his own family. So the way the judgment there is that they know giving him money is harming him.
Yes.
Okay.
You'd rather take for him something that he can use than to give him the money.
Okay.
And I think that's one case where you can use your judgment to make the right decision. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that, Jedi.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the Bible means, whether it's only for nuclear family, when it says that a man who does not provide for his family is worse than an infidel. So I'm not sure if we can apply it also to black task.
It's family.
You have to take care of that which is your own. Like even the Bible has zoom in a sense. It says that whenever you have opportunity, do good, especially to those of the household of faith. So you have to take, in my opinion, I think you have to take care of your family, whether it's nuclear or extended. How we have managed it in our family is we had a few cousins who are probably taking advantage of us. So whenever any of them asks for money, we talk as brothers and ask, have you been asked for any money?
So
Have you?
communication.
Yeah, sure. So we have to know whether he has asked for money and then provide from one source, so that not everyone is sending money for the same problem to the same person.
So four people have sent money to the same person for the same problem.
Akili.
Yeah. So now what I'm getting from here, communicate amongst each other. How about parent-child black tax?
But I think black tax for the most part is given a bad rapport. And I'm saying that only because of how I grew up. I grew up in a home where our home was open to everyone, like siblings from the other side, cousins from the other side. Like it was, my culture really believes in bear one another's burden. And like Jim said, ask the Lord for wisdom on how to know what to do. So helping your brother is not bad. Let's get it.
Let's make that very clear.
Let's make that very clear. We're not against black tax. The problem is normalize showing people how to fish as opposed to giving them fish. So give them fish, but also normalize how to get them so that if you die, they're not also dying.
Yeah.
For example, let's
Yes.
say I have a brother who has done, he has studied accounting.
Yes.
Instead of giving him
A
money
stipend
constantly,
every month,
I look for
get him
Jim,
a job.
who is an accountant,
Yes.
and ask him, Jim, do you know where opportunities
Yes,
are
yes.
for him to?
Yes,
So that's what you
yes,
mean.
Yes,
Okay,
that's what I
okay.
mean. That's one. Two, even as you're dispensing black tax, the Bible says God loves a cheerful giver. Don't do it begrudgingly. You'd rather not do it, guys. You'd rather not do it because I've had conversations with people who were helped through that black tax. And one of the reasons why they end up cutting ties with that family is how they were treated. You paid for my school fees, I stayed in your house, but I was treated like trash. Like it was almost like I wasn't a human being. So even as you're dispensing that black tax, check on how you're also, even as you're saying the people receiving the black tax should be respectful and should, put the money that they've been given to good use. Even you as you're giving, be very careful to give it cheerfully. Be very careful to also remember to show people how to fish. Going back to parents and black tax, I think it just goes back to boundaries and how you communicate to your parents. Because once your parents know you earn a certain amount, especially in the African context, most parents, they start looking for projects around their home. Like
That you can finance.
Yes, they are suddenly, I'm thinking this corner, if we can suddenly start a factory on, and you're thinking, where are you getting these brilliant and bright ideas? So I think it goes back to communication. And my heart just goes out to everyone, because I have friends like that. Goes out to anyone whose parents are very cutting on how they expect money, and or when you start your job, they come and throw your siblings to your feet. My heart goes out to you. But I think what I'd tell parents is to remember, these kids do not want to be kids. You decided that you wanted to be a parent.
Okay. We hear you. It boils down to communication.
Yes.
Communicate
Boundaries.
your boundaries. So there is no problem with helping your family. It's actually good practice to, as Jim has told us,
Yeah, be willing to give.
be willing to give. Be willing to give. Do not give begrudgingly. But spend time with your people. Get to know them. Get to know how they react towards issues to avoid a lot of conflict, or even how to solve those conflicts. That's all we had for you today in our episode of Family Dynamics. I hope you have picked a few things, and we pray for you that you'll have the best kind of relationships with your families. See you once again in another episode of
Talk.
Share.
And inspire.
Bye-bye.